Hey everybody, welcome back to Locations That We Are Going To, Part 2. I have decided I have no idea how many of these location videos there will be, but I'm going to release them all at the same time and you can go through and pick which ones you want to watch, which ones you want to skip. But this is of course for our trip in 2026, March, to the Holy Land. And the last video, we covered kind of the entrance into the Holy Land, where we're going to go, what we're going to do, came along the Mediterranean coast and started to come inland, and then arrived at Galilee. And that's where we are going to pick up here today, with just a few of the sites that are in what's considered the north, in the Galilee region and everything that went on there. Now, first and foremost, it's really important to remember that the Galilee area is where Jesus did 90% of his ministry, give or take. It's where most of the time was spent when Jesus preached, met with people, visited different places, began to lay out his ministry message, everything that he was doing. All of this took place in the north. Okay, it's close to where he was. It's close to where all of his disciples were from. He did go down to Bethany to visit Mary and Martha, raise Lazarus, and then on to Jerusalem. However, this north area is very Jesus-centered, very Jesus-centric. Even if some of the other places we've gone haven't been full Jesus, as we talked about last video, we talked about Elijah, we talked about Herod the Great, and we talked about some of that stuff. The north is Jesus, okay? This is outside of when we get into some of the places in Jerusalem. Jerusalem's probably about half and half Jesus and others. The north is Jesus, okay? So here's basically how this worked, how Jesus got to the north, and then we'll talk about the sites that are there. As we talked about last video, Cana and Nazareth are both inland, a little bit from the Mediterranean, about halfway between, and of course, Jesus grew up in Nazareth. When he was rejected by the Nazarenes and sent out to and began basically his ministry on his own, there was one major road that came through that area that Jesus would have traveled. And it would have traveled basically from west to east in the country. And it would have teed when it got to Jerusalem, or when, excuse me, when it got to Galilee. And you could go north or south. South would take you to Jerusalem. North would take you on into the Galilee region. Right there at that T is Magdala. And that is one place that we are going to visit, the home of Mary Magdalene, most likely. One of the most beautiful ancient temples that, I mean, it's in ruins, but it is so cool. I really loved that area. I really look forward to it again. Again, I talked a little bit about it last video, that this is where they found the ancient boat. But it also is a fishing village. There's a lot of evidence of their lifestyles there, and we'll get to see some really cool ruins. Get to see kind of what's there. It's not a big area by any means, but we'll get to see it. It's very, very cool. But Magdala is kind of the southernmost point as Jesus traversed around the Galilee, all through the north end of the Galilee especially. He really didn't go much farther than Magdala on would be the southwest side. And over on the other side, the Golan Heights, there's a couple places he visited over there that's almost straight across from Magdala, cutting the Sea of Galilee basically in half, but is on the eastern side. So as we go around and spend that time up in that area, really important to note and really important to remember, one of the things that absolutely blew my mind about this area is from Magdala over to the Golan Heights where he went, was only about 12 to 15 miles if you track it as a line. I mean, straight across, but as it curves around, it'd have been about a 15-mile walk from one side to the other. That's where the majority of Jesus's ministry took place. It was in a 15-mile area. And almost none of these cities are any more than a mile or so off the shoreline, because they were all fishing villages. And obviously in ancient times, you want to be close to your source of water. So these villages are all pretty close to the water of the Sea of Galilee. So really, it's about 15 square miles that we're going to visit and see. And I really want you to remember as we do this, that these are the exact places that Jesus went, and all, again, mostly, but the vast, vast majority of his ministry took place in these 15 miles. Not a big area at all. And that's such an incredible thing to think about. Okay, We talked a little bit about the boat ride last time, I believe. Yes, and we talked about being able to take the boat ride across the Sea of Galilee, get to see some of that stuff, and eat St. Peter's fish will all be that day. But there's some other stuff I want to talk about as well. Mount of the Beatitudes is a chapel we'll go up and visit, and you can be able to walk around a little bit. But this is where Jesus gave his very famous Sermon on the Mount, kind of the epitome of his message. Everything that he had to say pretty much summed up here in this Sermon on the Mount. And we don't know exactly where he stood or what side of this hill he was preaching from, but you can definitely see why this is a ideal spot for that. It's a very low sloping hill, very slow sloping hill. And with Jesus being able to stand on one side of it, there'd have been a lot of place for people to sit and be able to look at, see, and listen to Jesus as he talked. Okay, very cool place. Obviously, again, a memorial chapel there, a Byzantine chapel that we'll visit, but just kind of the space in and around where that would have been. Our tour guide, when I went, was very clear to say, we don't have GPS locations that he stood here or that it was on this side of the, it's very general. But we know that this is the hill. We know that this is the place within, a couple hundred yards. This is the place that it was. So very cool thing there at Mount of the Beatitudes. One of the other major places we'll go, and we'll talk about 3 different cities here because we're going to visit all 3 of them, and they're called the Evangelical Triangle, if you will. And they're the 3 places that Jesus kind of bounced between the most. The first one is a town called Chorazin. Chorazin is, again, a ruin at this point. Chorazin is such a fascinating place, and this is one of the places that Jesus was absolutely known to have been. There is, again, an ancient temple there that you can see exactly the place that Jesus would have worshiped when he was in this town. And it was also one of the cities that Jesus cursed as he left the region for their rejection of the message. And even the miracles that he performed in that area, he cursed a couple cities, and Chorazin's one of them. So we'll get to see some very cool things. Again, no spoilers whatsoever on this one, but I really loved Chorazin. It was one of my favorite archaeological places that we visited by far. The next leg of that triangle is the town of Capernaum, also known as the hometown of Jesus. Now, we don't know, again, if Jesus lived in Capernaum. Most likely he was a little more nomadic than that, or he would have been staying with other people. But we do know Simon Peter's house is here, and it is memorialized. There's a place we can go and look down into the house as it was, and it's a very small place. And we'll be able to walk around and see it. Again, there was a Byzantine temple that had been built on top of where the site was. So when they removed the temple, you can see the actual site that Peter's house was in. There's some other very cool things in Capernaum as well. Another ancient synagogue that we'll take a look at. Very, very cool things. Much larger town, in my opinion, than Chorazin. Capernaum would have been a decent-sized town. So this is a great place. Again, lots of ruins. We'll get to walk through and just kind of be able to see the place that Jesus called home, most likely. The third leg of this is Bethsaida. And Bethsaida was another place where Jesus went, and he recruited a bunch of disciples. We know he visited there to evangelize. And it was also where Jesus healed the blind man, as from the stories that was in Bethsaida. Again, a lot of ruins. This up in the north, we're going to be visiting a lot of archaeological ruins, and this is one of them again. But very cool place, very cool things to see. And again, it's 100% known that Jesus went here, and we are going to go to that place where Jesus went. Awesome, awesome times. Some of the other stuff in the north I want to talk about that we will visit is Mount Tabor is a great one. It has a more modern church constructed there, but Mount Tabor is where the Transfiguration happened, when Jesus took Peter, James, and John up to the top of this hill, and he was transfigured into a beautiful white. And Peter said, "Oh, Jesus, let us make you an altar here, and we'll make one for Elijah and Moses because they showed up during the transfiguration. And of course, Jesus says that's not the point. Don't do that. Guess what we did as human beings after Jesus died? We made a beautiful church with an altar to Jesus and an altar to Elijah and an altar to Moses. Even though Jesus told us specifically not to do it, hey, we did it anyway. And I'm kind of glad we did because it's beautiful. Very, very, very cool place. Again, more of a modern-ish church, a couple hundred years old. I think it's been remodeled somewhat recently, but again, a Byzantine location that was a church was placed there. So we know that that is where most likely the transfiguration happened, within a few hundred yards. Might have been right where this thing is, might be a little bit over there. Doesn't matter. It's there to commemorate the spot, and we know it's the hill, and we know it's where it was. So that's Mount Tabor. The last place in the north we're going to talk about for sure. I'm sorry, I'm looking down at my notes. The next place I know we're going to visit for sure was Caesarea Philippi. Now, I did not get the pleasure of going to Caesarea Philippi when I went. This is a new site for myself. I have obviously looked into it and seen what is there for us to see. It again will be an archaeological ruin site. But Caesarea Philippi, this is the area where the church was that Paul wrote the letter of Philippians to. This is also a place where Jesus took his disciples up and asked, this is where he asked Peter, who do you say that I am? Who do the people say that I am? And Peter declares him the Christ for the first time in scriptures. Caesarea Philippi was not just a random place that Jesus went to ask this question. Caesarea Philippi was a very, very pagan city at this time, would have had multiple pagan religions going on there, and almost no Judaism and absolutely nothing until after Jesus' death, when they began to evangelize, did we establish a Christian church there. It's actually, there's a large cave there that they call the Gate to Hell, or the Gate to Hades. It is awesomely powerful place. And literally Jesus went to what would have been the evilest place he could think of in their region. And that is where he asked Peter to declare him the Christ, essentially. In the face of ultimate evil, Jesus is the Christ. So cool. So awesome that he would have picked that place to go to there, to really, the visuals about it, so powerful, so awesome. The last place in the north that we will hit, and it actually is north-ish. There may be a couple other places we go. I don't know. There is going to be the possibility of the Church of the Multiplication, which is just a big church that is at the spot where Jesus fed the 3,000 or 5,000. It's at the base of the Church of the Beatitudes, which is up on the top. Church of Multiplication is at the bottom. Cool place. If we make it there, that's cool. If not, it's not fantastic. It's not one of those major places. We'd like to go, for sure. I hope we make it. It's on my maybe list, as if we have time, we'll get there. The other one for sure we will be going to is the baptismal site of the Yard Neat. Okay? Now, let's be very, very clear on this site. This is not at all where Jesus was baptized. Okay, almost certainly, 99% sure. We don't know exactly where Jesus was baptized. We believe it was much farther down in the south. Because when he left there and went into the wilderness, that's the south. That's south of Jerusalem. John the Baptist was an Essene. He was from the south. There's almost no chance this is where this was. However, it's still the Jordan River. This is it's called the Little Jordan. This is where one of the Jordans, when it first comes in, there's several other places that all kind of come in to make the mighty Jordan as it goes down south. This is one of those little tributaries. It is still the Jordan River. It is still Jordan. You are getting the opportunity to be baptized, rebaptized, whatever you want to call it, reaffirmed, whatever your faith says that you are able to do. You have the opportunity to do it in the Jordan waters. And this is a beautiful place that they have built. It is not, we're not going to crawl down muddy banks and stand in, weeds and mud and all that kind of stuff in the water. No, this is, they've built a whole place around this. There's a gift shop, of course, but you go there and they will provide you with robes and a towel. There's a changing room, very similar, like a public pool kind of changing room. And then you go down and it is all paved, and even into the water they've paved and put the little gravelly things in there to make sure that you have a safe place to stand and to be baptized in. There's walkways and there's handles and everything. It's a very, very well done, very modern thing. But it is still the Jordan River. I want to keep pointing that out because it is, so many people have that kind of thing. I want to be baptized exactly where Jesus was baptized. We don't know for sure. There is a site that they believe is that site, and it's actually in Jordan on the other country on the other side. And I think it's right between the two. You can get to it, but it is not well maintained, and certainly not very safe for us to go to at this point. So the Yard Neat is, again, a fantastic place. Really looking forward to going there. I was baptized there last time. I will be taking pictures most likely. We will see about, if I have to, I will go in and do some baptisms if you would like. If not, we'll work that out one way or the other. But this is an awesome place. Really excited about that opportunity for so many of you. And at that point then, that is kind of day 2 and 3, depending on how much we do, 3 and 4, however you want to kind of consider that. And then we'll head to Jerusalem. And as we go down to Jerusalem, we'll stop at the Jerusalem Overlook and get a good vision of the city as we first get there, welcoming you to Jerusalem and for the duration of our trip. Okay? Hey, I got this done in under 20 minutes for the first time. That's awesome. The next one will be long because we're going to talk a lot about Jerusalem and what goes on there without trying to spoil too many things. But there's a lot of sites in Jerusalem we're going to get to see and experience that are all very, very close together. So I'm excited for this. Again, this was video 2. If you want to keep continuing with this, like I said, it'll probably be a 3 and a 4 video coming out because I just don't think I can get all of Jerusalem into one video going forward here. And if you have any questions, as always, you have the website on the screen. You have my email up above that on the screen. Or maybe I'll wait and I'll put it on lower over here. I don't know. We'll see. That's the editing that I'll do later. But be sure and get your deposits in. Like I've said, I'm all about sharing this information with as many people as possible. So let me know if there's anything that we can do to ease your mind, to recruit other people, to do whatever we can do. This is the opportunity that I would like to present to all of you, and I'm available. I'm here to help. That's my job as a host. So if you need anything, let me know. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. And of course, as we get closer and closer to the trip, this will be absolutely phenomenal. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time.